All right, welcome back, Jet fans. Jet Therapy here with a special edition. Got a mid-season check-in on the Jets. We all know how we're feeling, but we got a special guest here. Went to school with us. Went to school with Dan and I. We got Matt Harmon from Yahoo Sports. You've probably seen him on co-host of Eckler's Edge with Austin Eckler. Fantasy writer and fantasy personality. I would call you a personality, right?
I'll take personality. I'll take personality.
I love that.
Yeah, Well, thanks again, Matt. And let's kick it off, guys. Let's talk some Jets.
All right, yeah, Matt, dude, thanks for being here, man. We had a good time last year. We were just talking before this. I'm pretty sure the Jets are in a very similar spot. We have a worse record right now than we did when you were on last time. It's so odd. I feel like I don't know why, but I feel like I'm in a more optimistic spot. But that's probably only because I have somewhat of a feeling that Aaron Rodgers is still going to play this year, and he just continues to fuel any bit of optimism that I have about this franchise in general. But yeah, man, we're going to kind of be breaking down where we are, where we think, what we need right now in order to be a little bit more successful offensively, talk about the defense a little bit and what we need to do moving forward. But dude, thanks for being here. It's going to be a doozy.
No, thank you guys for having me. I have really been looking forward to this. Basically since about infamously play number 5 in the first week of the season. Well, no.
That's true. I know it is play 5. It is.
Play 5
was on the field before.
Play 5 was the moment that I really knew I was excited to come back on Jets Therapy to break this down with you guys, because I mean, there's so many places we have to go and so many things we have to cover tonight and so many things we got to dive into. So I'm really excited to be talking with you guys. But I'm curious for you guys, because like we said when we were backstage here, I was basically on this show like about a year ago today. Week 11 last year was the year that Zach Wilson got benched. Has it felt to you guys like you're basically living in a simulation, like a repeat nightmare? And when Rodgers went down in week 1, like, did you feel as if to me, it felt like, oh my God, like the last 4 months of our lives in the NFL. And from a Jets perspective, just like never even happened. And now we're just like doing this whole thing all over again. But I like your point, Dan, that like, at least there is some level of optimism. I'm about like 60% convinced that Rodgers plays again this season, which is higher than I would have said at play 5. At play 5, I was like, well, he's done. He's toast. Is he ever going to play football again, period? But I don't know. I'm excited to talk about this tonight because there's a lot to get into.
Yeah. I mean, to your point, it is almost like Groundhog's Day, right? Like, it's like, the same old Jets mantra. So it's like, here we go again, like plug and play, the same feeling, just 2021, 2019, 2014. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like this is everything with the Jets. And I mean, this year specifically, it's like we have a very, very good defense. Some may say elite, right? We've got probably the best cornerback trio in the league, the highest graded linebacker duo in the league, which was a worry for a lot of us coming into the season. And then, play 5 happened, or after play 5. And I mean, my wife will tell you, man, I sat in silence after that. Like, I didn't speak a word. I sat in silence because, again, like you said, the lead up to it, Hard Knocks, One Jets Drive, all that content around the team was pushing Rodgers down our throat, rightfully so, because we got Aaron Rodgers, right? Like, yeah, that was it. He'd been pretty healthy for the last 5 years. No major concerns, right? And I mean, coming off, 2 out of the last 3 seasons, he was an MVP. So I think everybody, rightfully so, was very, very excited. And then boom goes his Achilles.
We also know that the offseason is the most exciting part of being a Jet fan, though.
Yeah.
So like there's also that. And if there was any offseason that was the most exciting, it was this one. I mean, it was tangible. You could feel it. We had everything going for us. We had the quarterback, and the Jets are always a quarterback away. That is always the slogan. We're a quarterback
it has
away.
felt like that for quite some time. Like whether it's true or not, it feels like it.
We've never had a franchise guy. I mean, ever since Joe Namath, and he wasn't even here that long. But I mean, so there are two sides of me. Just the side of me that knows that the offseason is going to be the most exciting part about being a Jet fan, and then the other side of me that just thought that we deserved better.
This was going to be different.
That this was going to be the year that, wow, we'll actually do it this time. And I had friends over. I had like Bill's friends over. It was just like this whole thing. And I was not quiet. I was not quiet like you, Gordon. I was in such disbelief. I could not believe it. I just kept saying, there's no way. There's no way I'm watching Zach Wilson play right now. Like, there's no way. And like, for a lot of reasons. One, why he's still number 2, and we'll get into that later. Why we didn't bring in somebody else. Why Mike White wasn't maybe number 2. Like, there was just, you're in such disbelief. Even the next day, 4 days from then, a week from then, I was just like, there's no way. There's no way we're still, like, Zach Wilson is back being the quarterback after all of what we did in the offseason. So, yeah, it was, you're in disbelief, but at the same time, you understand it. You're a Jets fan, and it's a life of misery and misfortune and just terribleness. So
just real quick on the last note on this, and then we can kind of talk current state of the Jets and everything. But to me,
I want to talk about
that. I know. To me, the most shocking part of it all was just like how good the vibes were, not just because of like, okay, yeah, the Jets got a future Hall of Fame quarterback, like an inner circle, one of the literal best to ever play to throw a freaking football, like that was real. That was a thing that was happening. But also like how happy and fulfilled and energized Rodgers was with the whole experience. Like, cause sometimes like, all right, I'm playing out the string here and I'm just like doing the last couple of runs around before my career is over. That was not what it was with Rodgers, how just like uplifted he was by the experience. And then this bastard runs on the field with the American flag on 9/11 and is out in 4 plays. It's just like, what are we doing here? Like, it was a nightmare, but we'll see. I do think that if we're talking optimism going forward, that idea of how happy and fulfilled he was by the entire experience, I do think that is what has led him to try to get back on the field faster.
What's driving him right now? Yeah.
It has to be, like, because he as much as everybody on the outside wanted to see it, he really wanted to see it come to fruition. So I think that's a big part of like why this story is not yet over.
Yeah.
Well, before we move on for a second time, let me close it up with this, which is very sad. I have watched those 4 plays like 1,000 times.
Oh, Dan! Why?
Why would you do that to yourself, Dan?
I go onto the YouTubes and I search Bills versus Jets Week 1, and I watch
Aaron Rodgers Jets
run
highlights
out of the tunnel, and I try to relive like Zach is not our quarterback. Watch, look at him go. And then I watch I'm like, look at Brees, baby. That was like a 40-yard run on the first play. And I don't watch the misery, of course, but that's where we are.
Saddest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, I'm a sad person. All right, so we're here. We're 4-5. I think that the fact that like what everybody forgets is that Zach Wilson's a backup. Not only is he a backup, he was benched last year for a 3rd stringer to come in, and then a 4th stringer, Strevler. So like he shouldn't even be in this position. So I think that the fact that we're 4-5, we're 4-3, but that was kind of a dream scenario. I mean, to beat the teams that we have beat, it's so strange. We're losing to the Raiders and the Chargers, and no ill will on the Chargers. I think that they have some things to figure out. But like, you beat the Bills, you beat the Eagles, you almost beat the Chiefs. Like, you're winning these weird games, and obviously defensively, but now you can't produce offensively. There's no balance to this team whatsoever. It's either all in here, or all out there. How do you just kind of sum up the first 9 games that the Jets have participated in?
Yeah, I mean, the Groundhog Day feel of it and the weirdness of it, I do really think that it's just so akin to what's going on, because this does feel like the story we've seen before, where And I got to imagine at some point, just like it did last year, it becomes a boiling point for the defense, right? Because this is a defense right now that's it's fifth in EPA allowed. They're top 3 in success rate allowed. Like this is a great defense. I mean, like Gordon mentioned, I host a show with Austin Eckler, who obviously played the Jets recently, and he was just raving both on and off air about what a tough group that was to go against. And I mean, he was talking about Quincy Williams most of all. And like, when you sit down and like ask casual NFL fans, but who's the best player on the Jets defense? None of them are going to get to Quincy Williams before they at least name off Sauce and, Quinnen Williams and all these other guys. Right. So
yeah,
that just shows you when you have someone like that playing potentially at an all-pro level, I think Quincy Williams will get some all-pro consideration.
Sure. Yeah,
I hope so. We hope so.
That just shows you have like a verifiably great unit. So it's just, there's so much about the roster that you've seen this year, like so much of the plan and the vision that has come together so well. Then I would say the other part of me that is a little more negative is like, there are so many problems that were very predictable that have cropped up so far this season. And obviously almost all of it is, all of it is offensively. The offensive line was going to be a unit that was a concern anyways. Obviously even in Rodgers' first few plays, it was an issue. It was something that we could have seen. Yeah, no kidding. It was something we could have seen coming. And then, the Rodgers part of it with like, all right, Alan Lazard is our number 2 receiver. Randall Cobb is our slot receiver. It's like, that stuff's all like when I watch this offense under Nate Hackett and these guys, it feels like an offense that is designed for an inner circle Hall of Famer. Like, all right, these guys are going to be wrong. Rodgers is going to make them right a lot. And like Alan Lazard is your number 2 receiver. That's cute when you have a superstar and Garrett Wilson on the other side, and you have an inner circle Hall of Famer, or even just a high quality quarterback. Then you got, your boy Zach out there, and it becomes a huge problem. So I would say that just they're such a weird team to talk about because so many of the things that they have done really well and executed their plan on defensively have come together. And I think Robert Saleh I think he's a really, really good defensive coach. I think he is a good overall a head coach. I mean, I've seen about enough of him, like doing the 1,000-yard stare on the sideline.
Looking like Todd Bowles.
Yeah, good comparison.
That's rough.
Exactly what Todd Bowles did.
Yeah, all game.
Mostly because, but like Saleh has this look, and obviously so much of it was in week 1, but that was the one thing I'm like, I understand why you look like you're watching a house on fire in week 1 in that moment. You probably still shouldn't do it, but buddy, I'm gonna give you the grace in this moment. Like, that's all right.
Yeah.
But we're here in week 10.
Yeah.
Against the Raiders, he's got the beard, but he's got that look on his face. It's just that part I don't need to see as much, but it's just so much of the things that has gone wrong for the offense, like, was easy to see going wrong. So I don't know, man. It's tough to say like what a progress report on the season's like so far.
Yeah, I mean, it's the offense was designed, like, no matter how they want to spin it or say it, the reason we got Nate Hackett was to help lure Rodgers here, right?
Totally.
Like, our offense was specifically designed to be run and bleed through Rodgers, right? Like, he doesn't like a play from Hackett. He's going to change it. He's smart enough to know he's going to change it. He knows the protections. He's seen every defense. It's like, it was going to run through him. And now you're downgrading to, I don't want to say one of the worst quarterbacks, right? Like, but he's pretty bad historically and statistically, pretty bad. Now, again, is he still the quarterback because Rodgers says he sees something in the kid? Like, do we believe that Rodgers has that much pull around the building? I probably do. I mean, he went out this week and talked about how much he likes Mekhi Becton. I think Mekhi Becton's going to get a contract from us because of that. And I mean, he's also been our best lineman this year.
Yeah.
But yeah, man,
that has quietly been a good thing to see. It's been great to see Becton actually kind of like,
agreed.
Elijah Vera Tucker goes down, the whole thing. Like, he should be one of your foundation pieces. Becton was a big question mark, and he's actually been quietly an answer, which has been really nice to see.
I'm excited and also nervous. Like, when Dwayne Brown comes back, are they going to pull the whole, like, Saleh loves this best 5 out there thing? it bit us at the Chargers game when he put Max Mitchell at guard and then Billy Turner out at right tackle. And I think he came back and put Mitchell out there, and Mitchell handled Crosby fairly well, I thought. But like Mekhi has taken that left tackle spot. And I think Tomlinson and him on the left side has been better than what we saw with Dwayne Brown and Tomlinson on the left side. So I'm curious to see what happens when he comes back. But yeah, I agree. I think the resurgence of Mekhi Becton has been huge for us.
Yeah. And Matt, you nailed it. Like this whole offense, and actually Saleh said today in his press conference, this whole entire offense was 100% designed for Aaron Rodgers, one of the best quarterbacks, if not the best, to ever play the position ever in the history of the NFL. He gets hurt, and it's a chicken running around with his head cut off. Now you're putting in Zach Wilson, who is statistically the worst quarterback in the league, and even worse for a lot of other ways. And I am so tired of hearing about the whole, he's got so much talent, he can do it's year 3. Okay. It's year 3. Let's cut the whole potential thing, because the potential starts to rear its head and starts to show itself at some point. And I know that we've gotten flashes of it, but we got flashes of it when he was a rookie. Like we were seeing that every now and then. It's the consistency that we can't have. So, and it's ridiculous because like even Zach has said, like, this offense was built for Aaron Rodgers, and now I'm the quarterback, and they can't dumb it down for me. I got to step up and step into those shoes. You can't do that. That's not how things work. Yeah. So like whether like, and I think that the coaching staff doesn't know. Hackett's kind of like, well, he can't do this, but can he do this? And will he do that? I mean, he didn't take any reps with the ones during, up until
during training camp,
the season. So, I mean, you're just kind of like having a team that's just kind of piecing it together. One of the best one of the best defenses in the league, doing everything they can on the offensive side to try to put it together. You have Breece Hall, who's trying to get his carries, but the defense knows they're just going to stack the box, and they're just going to, if you take him away, what do you got? Type of thing. And like you have Garrett Wilson, obviously, but like what's really frightening is to think about this offense without Garrett Wilson. Like Allen Lazard becomes your number 1 wide receiver. And then like you have guys like Xavier Gibson, and obviously Conklin is having a good year, but it looks like this week we're going to see a lot more Rucker because CJ, I think, is getting benched. But you have a team that has an identity as a defense and has no identity as an offense. And we're in week 10 and they still have no identity. So where it goes from here, I have absolutely no idea.
Week 10, 10 weeks into the season, that's what kills me when they're like, like we just don't know like what to do with Zach. It's like, dude, he's been under center for a long time. Like, it has been a minute here. We've got to have something else going on. And I really don't know what that is, because I'm with you, Dan. Like, I get it. Like Wilson will throw a ball every now and again. You're like, sheesh, he really, the pro day throw way back in the day at BYU, right?
Well, everybody.
That damn Hail Mary pass he had at the end of the game was
very similar.
That was the throw. The one he probably, Collinsworth didn't tell him, or said he didn't get enough loft under it or whatever. Pretty similar stuff. But he definitely has the physical talent. It's just anytime anything breaks down, he can't really play off script. He makes a lot of mistakes. It's the mental stuff. And it's just tough for I'm with you, Gordon, that I wonder where the Wilson stuff comes from. Because what I know is that when they brought Rodgers in, and it's not like this is not that obvious. It was pretty plain to see this was what was going on here. Was they viewed, all right, we're going to have Rodgers 2 years, 3 years, and then after that, we're going to turn it back to Zach. Like Zach will have had time to sit behind him and all this stuff, which is beyond a fairy tale. I don't even know what to call that.
It's like how things work.
Aaron Rodgers was his idol, right? Like he has said multiple times, even before this year, like he modeled his game after, like parts of his game after Aaron Rodgers. So that is Zach Wilson's fairy tale. And and to be honest, like fairly uncommon in the NFL now to have a rookie come in, be the guy for 2 years. Like, you're not it. We're going to let you, we're going to keep you. Like, we're going to vow to keep you behind Rodgers and learn from him and then give you the reins again. Right. Like,
uncommon. Has that ever happened ever?
I don't know.
Where you have a guy get benched in the middle of a year. You say, you stink. You can't even start over this backup and then you just somehow sit behind and then you come back and you're confident. And
Saleh said it too. And Gordon, you and I talked about this. He literally said, and this was less than a year ago, I've never in my life seen a quarterback lose confidence like Zach Wilson did last year. That was 7 months ago.
Yeah.
That was 8 months ago. Like, it doesn't just come back in a whim like, oh, I'm some different player now. That mental aspect that he had is very much still alive, where I don't think he's all there. And like a huge thing, Rodgers said today, he was like, look, in between the 20s, that's when we're moving the ball, we're looking good, Zach is making the throws. But he was like, right when you're getting down in that red zone, that's where the game speeds up. That's where the windows get smaller. That's when you really need to have a quicker internal clock. That's something that Zach has just never had. He's never had a quick clock. The game's always been too quick for him. He has no ability. Every now and then he can make the crazy throw, but his ability to kind of feed it in there and read the defense and know where the safeties are, like, he just can't do it. And that's what we're seeing. So we're seeing an improved Zach, but there's a reason why we can't score touchdowns, and Zach is very much a part of that.
Yeah, and I also think too that inside the 20s inside the red zone, inside the 10-yard line, which, by the way, when was the last time the Jets were inside the 10-yard line? It's been a minute, man. That's when your play caller comes alive too, like as a play caller, as a play designer. And the Nate Hackett part of it is just, again, sure, we can get by with Nate Hackett as our offensive coordinator if we have Aaron Rodgers, but then the moment he's gone, and like, by the way, it's not crazy to think like Rodgers could have missed a couple of games in the middle of the year. You know, he's an old dude. He's 39 years old, right? Like, I mean, he's going to be pushing 40 here in a minute. And, you know, he last year struggled with injuries. Like Jordan Love had to play a couple of, at least like half a game last year when he went down with a back injury or something against the Eagles. So having some sort of backup plan in mind wouldn't have been the worst thing in the world. But, you know, I don't know if you guys saw this today, but like Cortland Sutton posted on his Instagram story, like a fill out an apology form for Russell Wilson. It's like, check the reason for your behavior. And one of the boxes was literally because you thought Russ was the problem, not Nathaniel Hackett. I'm like, yo, this is a guy that played for Nate Hackett last year and is just like, I mean, I said he was catching a stray, and people were like, no, that wasn't no stray. That was like a direct shot.
It was direct shot.
Yeah, he was going after him.
Yeah.
And I mean, look, I think Russ needs to do a little more than play inside the cookie cutter lines to be written completely off the hook for what happened last year. So that's an entirely separate conversation. But yeah, there just hasn't been enough adjustment and creativity from the offensive play caller spot. But I almost feel bad for Saleh, even though I think he's got to have some hand in the whole thing with like, I don't know if he has the authority to sit there and be like, I am benching my quarterback which is an unbelievable place to have your balls cut off as a head coach. Because, I mean, give me a break. Like, if the entire team knows he can't pull the quarterback when he's not setting the standard, or he can't pull Allen Lazard or all this stuff because, you know, number one, they don't have any better option at number 2 receiver. So whatever.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't even know what you do there, but if he doesn't have the authority to do that, the entire locker room knows he's a joke, right? Like, knows he's not a serious person there. And is it because Joe Douglas wants his draft pick to be right? Is it because the entire organization, maybe Woody Johnson included? I mean, usually when there is a weird situation going on, like with Carolina and their quarterback, it's always owner related, but I kind of feel like that's a little far-fetched. Like, is it ownership that wants Zach out there? Is it Rodgers? Is it the entire fairy tale that they painted themselves to believe heading into the season? Like, this was what was going to happen in 3 years. Well, buddy, it's not 3 years. It's right now. And like, I don't know. It's tough for me to see Robert Saleh go out there and be like, oh no, Zach is actually playing well. It's like, buddy, we're all watching the games.
Yeah.
We're watching.
He's not winning games.
But like, and that's the thing. I think it's been alluded to a few times that like, are the Jets having money problems, right? Like, I think a few weeks back, it was like, Woody's like, we're not spending money on players anymore. Like, I think Woody was the driving force to get Aaron Rodgers. I think he was one of the driving forces. Like, we're going out, we're getting Aaron Rodgers. Like, we know we're a quarterback away. We're going to get a veteran. And then maybe that's up to Douglas to get. Like, they brought in Simeon. He's been here before, but Simeon's not even on the active roster right now. He's still sitting on the practice squad, and we got Tim Boyle.
God forbid he robbed Zach's confidence by bringing in Simeon.
I said, God forbid we rock Zach's confidence by bringing in Finney.
Like, and maybe that's it too. It's
he has been coddled since day one of coming on this team. 100% coddled. He was named the captain of the team as a rookie before the season started. And that, I mean, it's just, there was the benching, but then you're right back in it. You're right back in it to the number 2 quarterback.
Yeah.
And it's because of what he can do when he's wearing shorts and a t-shirt. Honestly, if you want my personal opinion, that's 100% why. It's when practice is going on and everything that he says, and he's well-spoken for the most part, getting past some of those rookie woes there. But I mean, he says the right things. He's trying to be a leader. He's got more talent than probably anybody on the field, really, just the way he can move and throw and adjust. And he's really he can do it all. And he can do it all in practice when the lights are not bright. But when the game speeds up and people are actually trying to rip your head off, he falters and he just can't step up to the plate. And he's never been like, we can maybe talk about a game or two, but he's really never been the reason we've won. Yeah. And when you're saying that about a year 3 starter and he's started every game this year, it's not like he's been hurt. I mean, how long do you wait for potential to show its head? I don't know. Yeah. I mean, who am I to say, but I don't know.
I would say the one thing, if I am giving Zach an ounce of credit, I would say the one thing he's done well this year, and I don't know if this is like the coaches have just drilled this into him, is when he's dropping back, he's looking for 17, first and foremost. Whereas last year it was still like so scattershot that he just didn't have like, okay, I've got one guy here. Like I've got one guy and I'm circling in on this. The site Fantasy Points, they have a data suite. And they track something called first read targets, which basically, again, like the number of targets that it, like the first read on a play, all that stuff. Garrett Wilson leads the NFL with 42.5% first read targets, like higher than AJ Brown, higher than Devontae Adams, higher than Keenan Allen, like all these guys that are right around that 40% barrier. Yeah. And I think he's done well. And like, all right. And look, it's not perfect stuff because you see Garrett Wilson, he's almost always like, got a defender right in his general vicinity because these are not the most accurate passes. They're not the most well-timed, but he's been able to execute that part of the offense. And I think the good thing this offense can do at its best is like funnel a target to one guy and one real alpha level difference maker, which is what Garrett Wilson is. I mean, it's hard that's what's hard for me is like a receiver guy and like someone that really appreciates the hell out of Garrett Wilson as a person and a player is like, man, the season he could have been having. It's
Seriously.
Crazy.
That was
Rodgers said to him, sorry, kid.
That was one of the, that almost tough. Brought a tear to my eye.
It's just heartbreaking.
Almost brought a tear.
That was tough. That was tough. Cause I met Garrett Wilson, had a chance to talk to him at the Super Bowl last year. And like, yeah, that is a guy that just like wants to be great and wants to, he's just such a hard worker and is really passionate about the game and everything. And, would never publicly to some goofball like me with the microphone, like ever say anything negative about any of his teammates. And just everything that guy was set up to do this year it sucks. But I think Zach's been really good about getting the ball out on time for the most part, as much as he can. Yeah. To number 17. The problem is just like anything, there are no other answers for him. And I think that's the tough part too, where he has been set up to fail in many ways. I think some other NFL level quarterback, like had they traded for Josh Dobbs or something like that, you could drop Josh Dobbs onto this team and he'd find other answers because he can clearly play within chaos. I just like, if I'm Zach Wilson, I'm dropping back and like, all right, 42.5% of the first read targets are going to Garrett Wilson. Who the hell else are they going to?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like the contract given to Lazard and these tight ends, as you mentioned, like CJ Uzama, what's going on there? He's beyond past his prime.
He's gone.
Yeah. I mean, beyond past his prime anyways. Was coming off an injury when they gave him that deal. Exactly. Conklin is like a non-needle mover tight end. I mean, the Randall Cobb thing. What other NFL team was going to sign Randall Cobb? Literally
nobody else. We were the only
leading the league in drops. He doesn't even play much. I mean, the guy
barely plays.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Yeah. Let me ask you this, and then we can move on to something else. With everything would you, in the current state of the Jets, would you bench Zach right now and start Simeon, or would you continue to play Zach?
Yeah, you just got to see. You just got to see if Trevor can give you anything. Look, at the end of the day, I don't think they have the coaches have the authority to do it. Right. And maybe they don't want to do it, but my inkling is that they just can't do it. But I mean, shoot, man, if Rodgers really is coming back in December, and that's what he says, he's going to come back in mid-December, which again is insane, but
yeah,
he says he's going to do it. What is he going to come back to? Like, is he going to come back to a team that, like, they have Buffalo this week, they have Miami. Like, if they lose 2 more games, like, it's over. Like,
we lose one more game, it's over. We lose this divisional game to the Bills this weekend. Our playoff chances are over, right? Like,
I think you have to get to 7 wins,
magically
right?
sweep the Dolphins after that, but it's not looking like that's going to happen.
Something. Right. I mean, you get Buffalo, Miami, Atlanta, Houston. I mean, that's not even like, you might have thought a couple of months ago, like
beginning of the year, we thought that's going to be a win. We're going to,
I don't want anyone to get hurt, but thank God Deshaun Watson's out for the year, because now, I mean,
if anybody you want to get hurt, I mean, Watson.
Yeah. I mean, maybe the biggest, scumbag in the history of the NFL. So.
Yeah, right. Well, I don't want anyone to get hurt either, but if I did,
yeah,
I don't know. No, but I mean, even then, like, that's week 17, right? Like, by that point, both. I mean, I don't know. We're kind of looking at mirror images of each other in a way, of these teams that didn't set their backup quarterback position up. I mean, I just mentioned Josh Dobbs. The damn Browns had Josh Dobbs in camp and traded him. So these teams trying to, like, moneyball their backup quarterback position are very much on my radar. But yeah, look, it's a tough schedule coming up, man. You got to do something else, because you know what this is. You know what this is with Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
I don't think that Trevor Siemian is going to be the answer, but he's played quarterback in the NFL before, and he's won games.
Yeah.
It's I get there's the Zach's record, all that stuff, but you just, again, you know what this looks like. And shoot, if it doesn't work one week, just go back to Zach. Like you said, Dan, his confidence is already in the dirt. I mean, even the game he had against Kansas City, where, like, the bar is the floor, but it's like, man, you know what? He's stringing some drives together here.
Those back shoulder passes. Ooh.
Yeah, because it's just like, I'm kind of playing schoolyard ball, whatever. Like, shoot, Alan Lazard's never going to get open, but he can win a contested pass. Let me just throw him, the back shoulder stuff, like you said. But then he fumbles that ball, and then all he can say after the game is that. And, like, I mean, he's right. He did fumble the game there, but at the same time, again, in the one moment he's riding high, confidence just gets shot down. So I don't think it matters if you bench him and go to Trevor. So yeah, if it was me, I'd at least give it a look to something else. Because again, if Rodgers wants to come back, what's he going to come back to? A team that's 4-7 and they're playing the Falcons. I mean, what's the point?
Yeah. There's no way. I mean, Saleh is the captain of the Titanic right now. I mean, remember that scene where, like, Jack and Rose are like, the Titanic's going down, and they're, like, running past the captain, and they're like, you can leave, come with us. And he, like, whatever he says, he's just like,
Go down
Rose,
the ship, baby.
We're out here.
Saleh's just like, everyone's
Titanic
just like, Saleh, you can do something else. You don't have to do this. You can survive. You can do something else. He's like, no, I can't. I can't do something else. I'm going down. And like you said, Matt, who knows where that's coming from? It's coming from JD, or did Rodgers did he say, you better continue to play Zach until I come back, or I'm not playing next year? I wouldn't put it past him, even with everything that he's done. He's been.
That is so crazy, bro. Like,
that'd be wild to think about.
That's a chance. I think there's a chance of that.
Well, number one, I totally think there's a chance that is the truth. But it's insane that a player who played 4 snaps for a team would have that level of hold over a franchise. But I get it, because it's the Jets and what we talked about at the top, where it's just,
we're so desperate.
We are desperate.
So desperate. And it was supposed to be so good. And again, he ran on the damn field with the American flag, and it was all happening. It was all there. And you can see, you can literally watch
it's
them.
beautiful. It's really poetic.
I was thinking about going back and watching those 4 snaps again, just like Dan.
Dan's got the link for you, dude. Dan's got the link for you.
I do. I got it. I got it here on my phone. Something I never thought of until just this moment. So Rodgers comes back. Rodgers comes back next year. Is Zach the number 2? Is he the number 2 next year?
Yes.
No, they get.
Zach's got to be the number 2, right? Like,
he is. He absolutely. It would be the same story. Rodgers doesn't come back. He's going to tear his calf.
Tears other Achilles. But so yeah, dude. Like, Rodgers coming back. I suspect. So there was some things said today that possibility of flexing that Monday Night Football game with the Giants. So that would be our game against the Texans. That I'm circling that as a possible return.
But that's 3 weeks away.
That's a week earlier than what I think, mid-December.
He's not even jogging.
Dude, if we get flexed to Monday Night Football against the Texans, that's a game he might, I don't know.
Take the Packers out of Monday Night Football too.
Yeah,
it's like
exactly. It takes the Packers out of, yep. So who knows? That could be a little bit of motivation right there. Rodgers pulling his sway on the NFL, saying, "You flex us in there, I'll be back." I wouldn't put that past him.
Yeah, they're not flexing Week 15 Chiefs Patriots, even
no.
if the Patriots are, laughably bad. They're not doing that. Week 16. Week 16 is Christmas. Can't do that.
And we're playing the Commanders. So that's not.
No thanks.
And Matt, you heard the conspiracy that Rodgers didn't actually tear his Achilles, right?
Oh, buddy, of course I've heard the conspiracy.
Yeah.
Come on.
We saw the pop. We saw the pop.
It's all approved.
Video can be doctored.
Exactly. That thing was doctored.
This is going to be just it's going to be a storybook ending for us. We're going to limp our way into the playoffs.
Green Bay doesn't get a first round pick. It all comes back around.
And that's it, right? Like, because
that would be the ultimate FU to the Packers for moving on from him, right?
Yeah, that would be pretty beautiful. That would be the only reason to fake the injury, is like the Packers just get to screw the Packers, and that's why they got to keep playing Zach, get him all the way to the bottom, sink all the way to the depths of despair, only for the savior himself, Aaron Rodgers, come trotting back onto that field.
Because they're filming, like there's like a movie being created right now. I bet there are cameras following Aaron Rodgers everywhere he goes, creating a movie about his return. And can you imagine Aaron Rodgers tears his Achilles, comes back, makes the playoffs, and does some sort of run? Imagine that movie. That's money.
Do we think One Jets Drive is following Aaron Rodgers through his rehab right now?
He's got his own people, man.
Do we get to watch him listen to the dolphin porn or whatever he was talking about at the beginning?
The mating dolphins, man.
Crystals and dolphins.
Listen, we were talking about before the show. My wife just had surgery recently. I was like, what do we think about pumping in some dolphin porn, dolphin sex into the house for a little recovery? She'll be back on her feet in no time.
Burn some sage, listen to some dolphin porn. Let's go. So do we think Simeon gets activated this week? Like we've cut cut our running back number 3. Like we cut our RB3. Hopefully that gives us a jolt. The Bills went out and fired their offensive coordinator.
We got Izzy, baby. Thank
running
God.
back. So,
Michael Carter was the problem, dude. He was holding this offense back.
Yeah, he was.
That guy wasn't allowing us.
It was a little like, all right, enough already of Michael Carter in the 2-minute drill. Like,
It was. It was.
You can only watch him drop so many balls.
And they really did him a favor. He's going to get a lot more playing time with the Cardinals. Like he was.
Did he get picked up by the Cardinals?
Yeah, I think he got picked up today.
I don't know if he will. James Conner. Well, James Conner got banged up, obviously, but at some point Carter will get in there. But I love the insiders when they're putting that out there. Like this is a way to get more Dalvin Cook more opportunities. I'm like, no thanks.
Well, so I will say Cook came on and had a few. Dan and I were talking the other day. Like it's like he played well. He played too well and got benched. Like he had a few runs that he just popped off 8-9 yard runs, and then Priest was like, "Hold up, you're doing too good. Let me back in there."
Yeah, I don't know if I'm putting too much stock into the 3 nice Dalvin Cook runs versus the like 90 other ones we've seen so far this year. But
in week 10. All right, well let's quickly transition to kind of what we need to do moving forward.
Yeah,
we've talked a lot about how we got here. It's been a long journey, but like Matt, like what do you truly think that this team needs in order to piece together? Because if Rodgers is going to come back mid-December, where does that leave us? Like, what is that? Like he will play 3 games? Is that 2 or 3 games?
Well, that's the beautiful part of saying mid-December,
right?
I always say that we're like, all right, I'm gonna give you like 300 to 500 words. That means you're getting 300 words, on this blurb or
right, exactly.
Like, yeah, we'll get that done in December. Shoot, that could mean December 31st, right? Like mid-December, Gordon's talking about the damn week 14 game or week 15 game, whatever, with the Giants Monday night. No, week 14 does December 12th count as mid-December?
Well, maybe. I think it absolutely does. Let's just say that we need to get to 7. Let's say that he plays 3 games. He ends with 3 games. Go hypothetical here. And we need to get to 7 wins before that point. Because Rodgers comes in and maybe they say if we win the last 3, then we get to 10-7. We have a chance at the playoffs. What do we have to do in order to win 3 more games this year?
All right. So he comes back week 16. That's Christmas Eve against Washington. Really good for the movie, by the way. That's very magical.
That is.
You
want to talk about dolphin porn?
I'll get about
that. I mean, Rodgers coming back Christmas Eve. That's what I like.
Love to see it. The Dolphins, they got on the schedule. The actual Dolphins, they have on the schedule twice before then. They have, so Buffalo, Miami, Atlanta, Houston, Miami. I think they can split with Miami. The thing with the Dolphins is whether their fans and Mike McDaniel and the boys want to hear it, they haven't beat a good team yet. The Jets, I don't know if they're a good team.
They're half a good team.
They're half of a good team. And defensively, you can attack the Dolphins. Their defense has been better lately, but I think they just have to. This is one of those things, again, where they have simplified things in the past games. It's like, Zach, you drop back, you get that thing out within 3 seconds, and you get it to number 17 almost half of the time. Okay, period. That's it. They do need to kind of do that with the run game as well. Like, I think when they feature Breece Hall as a receiver, because he's so explosive, and you're right that the box is stacked and there's a lot of guys there to potentially tackle him, but you can do some things, whether it's if you've got like a high-low concept and Garrett is your high and Breece is your low, you can work some things with those two guys on the same side of the field. You can scrum together an offense there, theoretically. Hopefully Nate Hackett can do that. But again, you split with the Dolphins there, a defense that can be exploited. I think that's possible. I mean, the Falcons are so damn weird, dude. I think you could potentially steal that game. I don't know about Houston. Buffalo this week is kind of crucial because Josh Allen has problems with this defense. I mean, most quarterbacks have problems with this defense, but Allen in particular, because when you take away Steph Diggs, similar to the Jets, honestly, like when you take away Steph Diggs, they don't have a lot of other great answers. I mean, Gabe Davis is an inconsistent number. I don't even think he's a number 2. I think he's more of a 3. Like, he's an inconsistent receiver. You can do some things there. So it's not impossible. It's just going to be a tall task for this offense to pull that off. I don't think any one of these defenses, though, Buffalo, because of all the injuries, Miami, definitely not. Atlanta, they're better than they were last year, but they're mostly good against the run. You can get over on them in the secondary. Houston, they play with a lot of energy, but still a young group. I wouldn't say that any of these defenses is just like suffocating. But then again, I wouldn't have said that about the Chargers or the Raiders, and they scored a combined 18 points. So
yeah, I mean, it's what gets us in, like, what's that that last wild card spot this year looking like, right? And like, you can pan through. I mean, there were some things. If the Raiders beat the Dolphins this weekend, we beat the Bills on Black Friday, we're playing for the AFC East, like, right? Like, that's a wild thought right now that we're sitting at 4-5. If things swing our way in 2 weeks, we could be on the top of the AFC East. So like, that puts us, in my opinion, that puts us in a great, like, that's best case scenario. That gives Rodgers, maybe we lose a game or two behind. That gives him some room to play with. But yeah, I mean, we got to win one of these next 2 games, in my opinion, either the Bills or the Dolphins. But like, just for like mojo purposes, for momentum purposes, going in to those weaker teams like the Falcons, I don't even want to say the Texans because they're coming on strong right now. So
we're the weaker team.
We are the weaker team. I'm not
says
denying
that outside
that.
the stadium.
I'm not denying that.
And you want to talk about good for the movie as well, beating the Patriots in the last game of the year to put us into the playoffs. Beating them for the first time in
15 games.
15?
I think it's 15 games.
They love their NBC loves their playing in games, in the last game of week 18. just looking at the schedule right now, like
that game it's time-wise is to be determined. So I don't know. I mean,
they're because they never make the week 18 schedule ahead of time. I just know that the folks at NBC always want that to like they need to have like so much stakes that nothing ahead of it could ruin the stakes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
it has to have some element of like, all right, whatever happens the day before, and it's like, all right, the Seahawks win. Well, the Lions are eliminated now from the playoffs. But if like last year, the Packers had beat the Lions, it would have been in the playoffs. The Lions end up winning that game. So that could definitely be a situation where, all right, everything else, AFC has been settled. But if the Jets just beat the Patriots, they get into the playoffs.
If Aaron Rodgers
I mean, that
comes
is the
back,
movie, dude. That's the movie.
breaks
right there.
the streak against
movie.
Bill Belichick, gets us into the playoffs. That's the movie.
Just be well, but you in order to do the things we're discussing, you have to be able to throw that thing into the end zone, and someone needs to be able to catch it.
Gotta score.
Well.
Right.
So, if those things can't come together, and I have no reason to believe those things are going to happen. I have not seen a shed of hope of why those things. And if you even think about our touchdowns, we never get them in the red zone. Even the ones we have. The one versus the Eagles was just handed to us. I mean, they let us score. We had the one versus the Cowboys, which was like a 50-yard run in. We have the Breece Hall one, which is like a 50-yard run. We had like none of them are like we had the two versus the Chiefs that were kind of produced in the red zone, where you had the one to Lazard and then the one to CJ. But like, there's no production, there's no fluidity, there's really nothing coming together to even give you a chance or a shed of hope of, hey, at least we did this, at least we did that. It's kind of just like drastic things need to change. And I guess they're trying to do that because we're not changing the play caller and we're not changing the quarterback. So like, what other drastic things need to happen other than cutting Michael Carter? Thank God. Like, and I know that they're benching CJ and they're going to play Ruckert more, but like, I don't know what else you do with this offense to be like, now we can score points because they just keep waiting for it to click over and over.
Run, hurry up, man. Like, I think one of the things, again, now I don't have stats behind this, Harmon, you might, but like from the eye test, it's looked like we have gotten our best production when we play a hurry up, quick offense. And I know, towards the top, we said he struggles when he's playing quick, making quick decisions. But for me, I mean, that's when we played our best football, is when we're driving down the field quickly. We're not letting the defense sub. We're kind of just going quick. And again, I know you can only do that for so long, but that seems to be where Zach's moving out of the pocket on the run, running quick. That's
an amazing point. Like, that's an amazing point because like, sorry to cut you off, Gordon.
No, you're good.
Because like Zach is struggling to be more efficient, be faster. He's struggling in the pocket because that's when he's slowing down. But when you speed him up, he's able to make those quick decisions. It's kind of like somebody who has like ADHD, right? Their brain is working really, really, really fast. And what do? You give them Adderall. What's Adderall? It's a stimulant. So it's actually, it's working with it. So it's actually speeding up and it's counterbalancing it. It's like, that's the same thing with Zach. Yeah. It's like, he's working. It's like when you put him on the move, his body and everything is moving so fast. He doesn't have time to sit there and think because everything is just working so much quicker. Well, so everything's working so fast in front of him and he is being forced to work so fast. So it's like the two are working in unison.
It's funny you say that. Today came out. Rich Kamini said he has ADHD. Came out in an article.
Did he really? Did that really?
Samini has it, or
Rich
Zach
Kamini?
has it?
Yeah. Now again, I think because again, someone on X or Twitter said like that they thought that came out like leading up to the draft, but yeah, like it was like quoted in an article today by Rich Kamini that like he has ADHD, but it doesn't affect his play on the field or something like that. So
it 100% does. Are you allowed to take Adderall in the NFL? Because you can't.
I would imagine. If you had
all them
like,
boys get like they got banged for that at some point.
Who?
Like the guys in Seattle, the Legion of Boom guys. Wasn't there like a whole Adderall thing way back in the day?
Like I wonder if it was like.
I mean, you got to be able to take it if it's a prescription.
If it's prescription,
you can
right.
In the MLB, they don't allow you to take it. It stopped like 9 years ago, and that's when Chris Davis had an absolute meltdown because he couldn't take the medicine he needed anymore.
Yeah, so maybe I don't know.
Nobody talks about that. It's like the Simone Biles thing. She wasn't able to take a lot of the medication that she needed. I mean, we're okay. Let me not go down this friggin' rabbit hole. But yes, like you almost have to believe that like something's going on with Zach to that extent where it's like he can't take his medicine, so it's not working for him. But to your point, the quicker that he doesn't think and the faster that you speed him up, it's like that gives him a chance to kind of read the defense quicker. It's like when he stands in the pocket and slows down and tries to go really, really methodically, those things don't work for him because everything gets fast and he gets slow. So it's like when he gets rid of the ball in like under two seconds, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, like statistically. But at over 2 seconds, he's statistically the worst. So I think there's a lot of truth to what we're saying there.
Yeah, it's almost like it'd be great if they could just spread the field, but they can't. Like if you go empty with like Breece Hall as one of your outside or slot receivers, you have Garrett Wilson, but then we're talking about like, all right, that's it.
That's it. The drop off after that.
There's your two guys.
Yeah. So now you're getting 5 wide out there. Maybe you've got 4 receivers out there and Breece is still in the backfield with you. Like that would probably be the best scenario for Zach Wilson, like a spread and this is the thing that actually kind of drives me nuts with all quarterbacks. It's not just a Zach Wilson thing, but teams get like a quarterback out there that they don't trust, and they can say whatever they want. They don't trust Zach Wilson, period. Like you get a quarterback out there that you don't trust. They try to like go run, pass, like first down run, second down run, third down pass. Well, terrible idea because you think you're hiding your bad quarterback from like a condensed formation too. But defense knows you don't trust this guy. Like the Rams did this, and Sean McVay is a great coach. So, but we can still criticize this approach. Rams had to start Brett Rippon against the Packers. That guy threw 0 passes on first down in the first half when the game was competitive. 0. And like the Packers know this is Brett freaking Rippon. Like his dad won the Super Bowl, but like we can stack the box against this guy and we're going to stop their run game and put them in inadvantageous long down and distance situations on third down. That is where the Jets find themselves in all the time. And again, they'd use a lot of like 2 tight ends, 2 running backs, which, okay, you think you're going to run the ball better out of these formations and that'll help you hide your quarterback. But I really think a guy like Zach would be better if they just spread the field out, multiple receivers, all this stuff, give him it could end up being more to process, but if you have a real defined, like, again, that high-low concept, he could probably read that out. It's just, again, they don't have the personnel to do that.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what they did at BYU as well, right? I mean, he's just like threw the ball 1,000 times a game.
Yeah.
They also had an unbelievable offensive line.
Right.
Yeah.
BYU, something the Jets have not yet.
That would be quite nice, right?
That would be nice, yeah. It would be nice to have like one clear-cut above average starter who could play an entire season. They don't have that.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
Awesome.
All right, man. Is there anything else you want to add here, Gord? This has been great. Man, thanks so much for coming on here. This was fun. This was fun. It's always good to talk Jets with somebody who, has more understanding of probably what's happening behind the scenes with the Jets than we do. And, it's Gordon and I are down here in our little Virginia homes and we have no one else to talk to about the Jets. Just people making fun of us. Like I work in an office with like all women and like I went in and everyone just like, ooh, man, they're not good. Not to say women don't watch football or anything like that. It's not what I'm saying, anyone, but none of them do, by the way. But they knew, like, oh, God, the Jets are just not good. And I'm just like, Jesus, man, you can't catch a break around here.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah, I mean, I can't wait to see what we do when we do this show, like after week 11 next year, or going into week 11 next year.
Yes,
where are the Jets going to be? We'll have to make this like my annual stop in week 11 or something like that with the with.
We're going to be 2-8 with Rodgers. Like that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. Somehow Zach Wilson will still be in the mix.
Trotting out there.
He's going to run the Wildcat. It's going to be beautiful.
Oh, man, I feel for you guys. I'm sorry that this season has turned out this way, but Gordon has had this same, shit happens expression ever since I've known him as a Jets fan. So
it is, dude. Growing up a Jets fan, it'll do it to you, man. It's like it is, and it is like a terrible, terrible relationship, right? Like you're just you're gonna
I've thought about like
I love
the
him. I
Jets
love him.
changed my personality?
That's a good question.
Have the Jets had an effect on how I look at the world? And they have to. Like it's funny because like Dave Portnoy, Barstool guy, you know, like he's only been like a fan. I mean, thank God the Patriots suck this year. He's really only been a fan of like a team that just wins over and over and over again. And you have to think like when you go to school, when you watch the games, you wake up the next day, there's always feelings of like positivity and people pulling you up and all this stuff. Ours is like this underdog, grimy, never good, keep scratching like type of mentality. And man, I'd like to think that I'm bigger than that, but I don't know if I am.
I think it's probably made you into a more hardened person. Maybe somebody that expects the worst at different times, perhaps. But look, you'd rather be that than like a Patriots fan where not only do you expect the best, but then, you know, people also grow to hate you.
Yeah, no one likes Patriot fans.
No one likes you, and no one likes you, and then you get like pissy about that. So you have this like entitled feeling.
Why don't you like me?
So
yeah,
true.
That's the worst. Like then you get that chip on your shoulder, like everyone fucking hates. I don't know if I can curse on the show, but
that's fine.
Everyone hates us. All that stuff. You know, you get that entitlement. You don't want that either. You need to be somewhere like kind of, I don't know, in the middle ground, right? Like I don't know if the Chiefs will ever become that unlikable. Because like I mean maybe at some point they keep winning, but Reed is more likable than Belichick, and Mahomes is I think more likable than Brady. Although I mean,
don't get me started on Mahomes, dude. I'll go on a rant. I can't stand that guy.
I think he's getting to that point now too.
I can't even.
Yeah, he is.
I couldn't even watch that QB show. I tried to watch it with my wife, and I was like, I can't look at him. It's not even his wife. It's not even his wife. It's him. I'm like, this guy is so self-deprecating. He's so annoying to watch.
I don't know this because everybody else, everybody I rub shoulders with in the industry, you know, loves Mahomes and all this.
They're all, yeah.
I definitely think that like a casual fan, you know, that's just like not dialed into this stuff like I am or whatever would probably, eventually like, this guy beats my team all the time. Like, and he looks for the thing I don't like about Mahomes right now is he's constantly looking for a flag after every play. Like enough already with that. That drives me nuts. Yeah, it's the Brady syndrome.
Yep.
So, he touched me. I deserve better. I'm the golden boy.
Yeah, give me a break. But I do think it's probably made you a different person, but I don't think, boys, that's a bad thing. I think you're more hardened. You're ready to deal, you know, as husbands and fathers, you're ready to deal with the unexpected and the trials and tribulations that life throws at you. So
I agree with you, and we're on the same page. And there's even been things that have come away. I'm just like, I can take this. I'm a Jeff fan,
it just makes the wins that much better.
Think this
I can take this. I watched Aaron Rodgers tear his Achilles on snap number 4 of what was supposed to be the most magical season of all time. You think I can't handle this? Give me a break.
Yeah, exactly. I can wrap my tree. I can wrap my car around a tree and just be like, you know, hey.
Don't try that, Dan. Please don't try that, Dan.
This ain't much. This ain't bad.
Don't try that.
Oh yeah. I after you just said that, I'm gonna go ahead and confirm being a Jets fan has made you a different person.
Okay. And it's definitely changed. Yeah.
That's amazing.
All right, very good. Well, thank you everybody so much for watching. Matt, thanks again for being on. Gordon and I will be back in a few days talking about the upcoming Bills game.
The Bills, baby.
And we'll go from there.
Matt, tell them where they can find you again.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter, X, whatever we're supposed to call it, at Matt Harmon _BYB. You can find Reception Perception literally hours after this episode. After we tape this thing, we'll be publishing the rookie report on Reception Perception. So a little update on how all these guys are charting out. Nobody interesting for the Jets after Garrett Wilson tore up the rookie report last year. So you got that in your bag. But so that's kind of what I got going on there. And the Yahoo Fantasy Football Show, hosted 5 days a week. Austin Eckler is on one of the episodes there too, as Gordon mentioned. So lot going on here, and would appreciate it if anybody checked out the content.
Busy man.
He is, that's right. Grinding.
I'm week 11 is right around the time where it's like Tom starts to slow down. And I'm like, okay.
You found your routine and your rhythm a little bit.
I'm tired of my routine and my rhythm.
Right.
But I can't complain. It's better than having a real job. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. All right, everybody.
All right.
Thank you all for checking in, and JETS.
Jets.